Chapter 5 of Management and Integrated Approach, Business Level Strategy Part 3, Differentiation. When pursuing a differentiation strategy, a firm seeks to be unique in its industry along a dimension or a group of dimensions that are valued by consumers and can command a premium price, $6 to accomplish this. A firm must position itself to offer certain product attributes or services that customers value and competitors cannot easily replicate. In contrast to cost leadership, consumers should be willing to pay a premium price for that firm's product. 87 Differentiation can be based on a broad range of factors, including product features, service offerings, distribution systems, and marketing approaches. $8 A firm that can achieve and sustain differentiation has the ability to create long-term profitability as long as its price premium exceeds the extra costs incurred by being unique. While a firm seeks a price premium in a differentiated strategy, that premium cannot be so great that it prices itself out of the market or becomes a narrow niche player. To accomplish this task, a firm needs to focus on those facets of its value proposition that are most valued by its target customers, and, as a result, increase differentiation and garner a premium price from customers. Such companies should, at the same time, seek to reduce their investment in other activities that do not add much value to their customers. For example, if a firm sells bike locks to customers who care about durability, it may consider lowering costs related to the lock styling to increase investment in anti-theft materials. The basic premise of a differentiation strategy is that a firm must choose dimensions in which to differentiate relative to those of its rivals, and those dimensions must in turn be relevant to consumers. Multiple firms can simultaneously compete based on differentiation in an industry. Now that we've established some of the key components of a differentiation strategy, let's look at a firm that successfully employs this approach. Patagonia, adding value to customers and the environment. Patagonia was formed in 1973 by legendary mountain climber Evan Chauner to sell performance apparel and equipment for customers who participated in outdoor sports such as mountain climbing and skiing. The company is one of the most successful and well-recognized firms in the U.S. outdoor apparel industry, which consists of high-end competitors such as North Face, Marmot Mountain Incorporated, and Mountain Hardwear. The industry also includes middle-market players such as Columbia Sportswear and other sports-related players, for instance, Nike and Reebok. Manufacturers often sell their products through several different channels in general and outdoor sports stores such as Dick's, Eastern Mountain Sports, and Ray, on the internet, in catalogs, and in company-owned retail branded stores. Chief among the firm's sources of differentiation is product quality. To produce higher quality products, Patagonia works closely with suppliers, rather than buying commodity fabrics. The firm collaborates with suppliers to create innovative materials for Patagonia garments too. In contrast, many competitors use commodity fabrics and lower-cost methods to assemble seemingly similar products, while focusing on high quality and innovative fabrics. Patagonia also attempts to lower costs in its manufacturing processes to remain competitive with other lower-priced competitors. Patagonia also derives its competitive advantage through its differentiated approach to environmental awareness. In fact, the firm is considered by many to be one of the most environmentally conscious companies in the world. From its use of organic fabrics to its donation of 1% of annual sales to environmental organizations, Patagonia seeks to consider the environment in every decision it makes. In an effort to promote recycling and reduce excess waste, the company encourages customers to have their ripped Patagonia ski jackets repaired instead of buying a new one. Patagonia will even do the mending. In addition, the company has set the goal of making 100% recyclable, landfill-free products in the near future. By 2014, they were at 70% and climbing. Through this differentiated strategy, Patagonia can sell its products at higher prices. This premium often translates into prices typically 15-20% higher than other specialty producers and 50% higher than mass market producers. Case in point, Patagonia 1. Why do you think Patagonia's differentiation strategy has resulted in a high profit margin for the firm? 2. Can you identify another clothing manufacturer that has formulated and implemented a differentiation strategy? 3. Visit Patagonia's website and read about its corporate social responsibility practices. How does this firm integrate its corporate social responsibility practices into its strategy? How are corporate social responsibility practices a component of a differentiation strategy? Focus strategy. In a focus strategy, a company focuses its sales efforts on a specific geographical region, a specific group of purchasers, or a specific product type. While pursuing a focus strategy, a firm may do so by either being low cost or differentiated. For instance, a firm can decide to be low cost and focused, where it offers low cost products to a small geographical region or group of customers, or it can offer a differentiated focused approach, where it offers a differentiated product to a specific region or audience. The two types of focus strategies aim to exploit a unique opportunity that may exist in certain market segments. In a low cost focus strategy, a firm attempts to target cost conscious customers who may have been underserved historically. In a differentiation focused approach, a firm attempts to target customers with special needs who also have been underserved historically. In these instances, certain segments may have been overlooked or discarded by traditional competitors, and the focuser can often achieve competitive advantage by concentrating exclusively on these segments. Firms that achieve sustainable cost leadership, cost focus, or differentiation focus in a segment can expect to have a competitive advantage in those market segments. Now that we've established some of the key components of a focus strategy, let's look at a firm that successfully employs this approach. Genzyme and the orphan drug market. Genzyme is one of the most recognized and profitable companies in the high-growth biotechnology industry. Unlike traditional drug development, biotechnology uses tools to create synthetic or artificial proteins that look similar to human proteins. This approach has yielded drugs that successfully treat diseases such as anemia, diabetes, and rheumatoid arthritis. Because of the cost constraints and incredible odds involved in the FDA approval process, most companies focus their drug discovery efforts on diseases that contain large patient populations. Thus, a rare disease that affects only a few thousand people is often too small to ultimately recover the substantial investment required to develop, manufacture, and sell a new drug therapy. As a result, most manufacturers seek to develop blockbuster drugs that have the potential to generate above $1 billion in annual revenues. Based on this data, it is easy to understand why big pharmaceutical companies leave many market segments untouched. Instead of evaluating the total market size of patients, Genzyme decided to focus on particularly severe disease states where no remedies existed. Genzyme managers believed that particularly severe diseases that lacked any effective treatment might allow the company to charge a high price per patient for an effective therapy, particularly if the cost was less than the medical and social costs of caring for untreated patients. Genzyme ultimately decided to pursue the orphan drug segment, typically defined by those diseases occurring in fewer than 200,000 patients worldwide. See Table 5.3. Producers of orphan drugs are provided protection under the Orphan Drug Act of 1983. According to the Act, public funds are used to subsidize orphan drug development through a variety of benefits, such as a 7-year period of market exclusivity, the ability to apply for federal grant funding to defray costs of qualified clinical testing expenses, and a 50% tax credit for certain clinical research expenses incurred in connection with product development. Through the Orphan Drug Act, Genzyme recoups some of its development costs while simultaneously enjoying market exclusivity on developed drugs. This exclusivity has allowed the firm to generate tremendous profitability. Genzyme maintains a competitive advantage through a differentiated focus strategy that takes advantage of favorable dynamics in the orphan drug segment. See Figure 5.12. Genzyme saw an opportunity to develop treatments for a group that had been neglected, while simultaneously devising ways for insurance companies and governments to pay for the treatment. This strategy has led to several successful biologic products aimed at orphan diseases and historically strong profitability. Case in point, Genzyme and the orphan drug market describe how Genzyme was able to create a niche in the biotechnology industry. How did the external environment support a focused differentiation strategy? Why is a firm's ability to innovate important when implementing a focus strategy? Stuck in the middle. In the previous sections, we saw examples of firms that competed based on each of the 3 generic strategies. Each firm clearly defined its activities to develop a competitive advantage based on one of the strategies. However, some firms are not as consistent or clear in their activities and strategy. In fact, many firms do not clearly stake out a competitive position using any one of the generic strategies. A firm that engages in numerous strategies simultaneously and in the process fails to master any one is referred referred to as being stuck in the middle. 101. These firms are usually at a disadvantage because other players are better positioned to pursue a singular approach and achieve competitive advantage. 102. While the firm that is stuck in the middle may produce profits in the short run, more disciplined competitors will be more successful in the long run. 103. In many industries, firms are seduced into this middle ground by the prospect of being all things to all customers. It is very difficult to say no to a potential revenue opportunity even if it does not fit your chosen strategy. When firms pursue revenue for revenue's sake, they often lose focus and become less efficient. 104. Delta Airlines attempted to respond to the low-cost threat of Southwest by creating the low-cost subsidiary Delta Express. While the subsidiary was profitable at first, other low-cost airlines eventually eroded Delta's profits by stealing its market share. In Delta's Florida market, both Southwest and JetBlue were better positioned to bring low-cost air travel to customers. Unlike these low-cost carriers, Delta's overall cost structure prevented it from pushing costs to a comparable level. In addition, Delta had problems matching some of the aspects of differentiation that JetBlue maintained, including elaborate entertainment options and leather seats, which the airline was able to provide in a low-cost way. In the end, Delta's position in the middle ultimately led to the failure of its low-cost subsidiary. While most companies that simultaneously pursue low-cost leadership and differentiation strategies tend to struggle, recent research has shown that some firms, especially in the digital economy, can succeed by integrating the two approaches. Web technologies and social media formats have enabled firms to target specific groups of people at very low costs. 105. In essence, web-based firms can pursue a low-cost focused differentiation strategy. Target marketing could be very expensive and time-consuming prior to the advent of these new technologies, thereby creating the stuck-in-the-middle condition. The internet has mitigated many of these issues for e-businesses. While the low cost of customer contact has been a cornerstone of e-business, successful companies have married this cost advantage with a specific focus on a differentiated market segment. A manager should evaluate the components of industry structure to determine whether it has the potential for long-term profitability. Table 5.4 combines the different generic strategies that firms can pursue with the 5 forces model. The generic strategies can reduce, but cannot eliminate the impact of the 5 forces. Employees in generic strategies. As we saw in many of the previous examples, the 3 generic strategies require firms to operate in very different ways. These strategies also differ from the perspective of the employee. A cost leadership strategy generally involves tight control systems and cost minimization. 107. These activities are typically shaped by a culture at a firm that is focused on frugality, discipline, efficiency, and attention to detail. As seen at Southwest Airlines, at Southwest, the firm's culture is tightly integrated with its low-cost strategy. The firm pays its employees similar to other airlines, but does not lavish employees with luxurious perks. At the same time, the firm promotes a positive and fun environment for its employees. If above-industry compensation or lavish perks are important factors for you, Southwest Airlines or other firms pursuing cost leadership may not be a good fit. For firms competing on differentiation, culture can also be an important factor in enacting the strategy. Many firms pursuing differentiation have a culture that encourages innovation and risk-taking. 108. The culture of Patagonia exemplifies many of these characteristics. At Patagonia, the employees are encouraged to experiment with products and fabrics to produce better designs. In addition, Patagonia encourages employees to leave work early to surf or rock climb. To Patagonia's managers, these activities help employees gain inspiration for their products while simultaneously promoting a work-life balance. If creativity, innovation, and individuality are characteristics that appeal to you, a firm that competes based on differentiation may be a good fit. Low-cost threat of new entrants provides cost advantage. Harder for new entrants to have same cost advantage. Differentiation threat of new entrants distinctive competence, but need to maintain price-value balance. Focused threat of new entrants are usually focused on a very small niche market, but could grow in size, attracting new competitors. Low-cost bargaining power of suppliers usually immune as cost leader typically buys in bulk. Differentiation bargaining power of suppliers able to pass through price increases to buyers. Focused bargaining power of suppliers often not a large buyer, so bargaining power of suppliers is relatively high. However, supplier price increases could be passed on to customers. Low-cost bargaining power of customers already operating at low cost, less impacted by powerful buyers. Differentiation bargaining power of customers. Differentiation customers are less price sensitive because they want the differentiated product. Focused bargaining power of customers. Focused strategy usually means that firm offers the only option or there are only limited options open to customers, but firm still needs to offer price-value balance. Low-cost threat of substitutes less susceptible to cost-based substitutes, but could miss new product opportunities. Differentiation threat of substitutes often requires big investment for newcomers to build customer loyalty. Focused threat of substitutes. The threat of substitutes for the focus strategy is usually low because of intense brand loyalty among customers. Low-cost rivalry among existing competitors. Strong cost advantage, but susceptible to new innovations. Differentiation rivalry among existing competitors harder to overcome brand loyalty. Focus rivalry among existing competitors. Usually, there are very few competitors in a small niche market served by a focus strategy, hence rivalry is usually low. Summary: we have covered the following learning objectives in this chapter. Learning objective number 1. Describe the way a firm competes within its industry. A firm's business strategy is defined by the manner in which it answers 3 primary questions. 1. Who do we serve? 2. What products and services do we provide? And 3. How do we provide those products and services? Different firms answer these primary questions in fundamentally different ways, and it is these responses that lay the foundation for the competitive landscape of an industry. Learning objective number 2. Outline how various forces in the external environment impact the attractiveness of an industry. In defining a firm's business strategy, a manager must conduct a thorough assessment of the external environment. This assessment will generally reveal the attractiveness of an industry. Certain industries are inherently more attractive than others. The S-forces model, which includes an assessment of entry barriers, buyer power, supplier power, competitive rivalry, and available substitutes, is one way to assess the relative attractiveness of an industry. However, strategy development based on an evaluation of the external environment is incomplete. Learning objective number 3. Describe how a firm's internal environment impacts its strategic approach. A manager must also evaluate a firm's internal resources to determine how its capabilities and access to resources can provide a competitive advantage. Internal resources that can provide these advantages include tangible items such as real estate, inventory, and equipment, as well as intangible assets such as production processes, brand name, and culture. A firm's employees can also be a strong internal resource that can create a core competency within an industry. Learning objective number 4. Describe a firm's value chain. Having outlined a firm's strategy and analyzed its internal resources and the external environment, a manager can use the value chain tool to break the firm into various activities to discover where it is adding value. The manager can then explore the connections between the firm and the other value chains in its value system to better create fit among its primary and support activities. In so doing, the manager will have a better sense of the firm's competitive advantage and how to sustain it. Learning objective number 5. Perform a SWOT analysis of a firm by describing its internal strengths and weaknesses and defining the opportunities and threats that it faces in the marketplace. A SWOT analysis, which outlines a firm's internal strengths and weaknesses as well as the opportunities and threats in the marketplace, can be an effective way to gauge a firm's current and future position within an industry. This analysis is also useful in determining a firm's competitive advantage. Learning objective number 6. Describe how a firm can generate competitive advantage through one of the 3 generic strategies: cost leadership, differentiation, or focus. Competitive advantage is derived from a firm's ability to create value for its customers. The way in which a firm creates this value is often through cost or differentiation. From these positions emerge 3 generic business level strategies: cost leadership, differentiation, and focus. Firms that compete based on cost leadership provide a product or service at the lowest possible cost. Firms that compete on differentiation provide a product or service that is unique and that competitors cannot easily replicate. Finally, firms that compete with a focus strategy apply either cost leadership or differentiation to a specific target market, geography, or some other defined entity. We have covered the following key terms in this chapter. Focus: a strategy in which a company focuses its sales efforts on a specific geographical region, a specific group of purchasers, or a specific product type. Differentiation A strategy in which a firm seeks to be unique in its industry along a dimension or a group of dimensions that are valued by consumers. Economies of scale, cost savings achieved when the volume of a product produced by a firm enables it to reduce per unit costs. Value the amount consumers are willing to pay for a product or service. It comes from offering a lower price than that of competitors or profit on a unique product whose benefits outweigh a higher potential cost. Cost leadership A strategy that aims to provide a product or service at as low a price as possible to a broad audience. SWOT analysis A tool that allows managers to take a snapshot of their firm's internal strengths and weaknesses as well as the opportunities and threats that are evident in the external environment. Strategic flexibility the capability to identify and react to changes in the external environment and to mobilize internal resources to deal with those changes. Primary activities the activities involved in the physical creation of the product and its sale and transfer to the buyer. Support activities activities that provide the support necessary for the primary activities to occur. Value chain analysis a systematic way of examining all of the activities a firm performs and determining how they interact to form a source of competitive advantage. Resource-based view of the firm a theory that a firm can develop a competitive advantage through the collection and harvesting of resources. Bargaining power the pressure that a supplier or buyer can exert on a company. First mover advantage a competitive advantage that occurs when a firm is first to offer desirable products or services that secure customer loyalty. Barriers to entry obstacles a firm may face while trying to enter a market or an industry.